It's that time of the year again. It's football season. Let's get it. Hello folks, today I'll be doing my AFC predictions of the NFL standings, where we're going to go through the AFC side and by going through each division, and I'm going to place them where I think they'll be placed this upcoming season by going 1, 2, 3, 4 in the AFC North, AFC East, AFC South, and AFC West. Then after that, I'm going to do who's going to go to the playoffs between the division winners and the wildcard winners, and then have another video of the winners I picked from the AFC, and then I'm going to have the NFC winners in my other video and combine them into one whole video of the NFL playoff predictions. So to start things off, I'm going to go in the AFC East division first. So starting at number 4, I have finishing is the New York Jets, finishing at 4-13. The New York Jets are a rebuilding team. They got Zach Wilson this offseason in the draft. They addressed offense with wide receivers like going after Corey Davis they went after, and they also addressed O-line, so they helped set up Wilson for weapons and help protect him, unlike what they did with Darnold years before when they had all that time and they didn't want to help him out. But now they're going to help Wilson out. So let's see if that's going to help Wilson out and become a better quarterback with Wilson and help the Jets do a lot better. But they traded Sam Darnold this past offseason to the Panthers to acquire draft picks so they can address and help Zach Wilson basically, and they fixed the defensive line, but they lack the secondary, which is my main concern because they've not had a good secondary player since Jamal Adams left years ago, like 2 years ago. But the Jets, they're not going to do much, and I don't see them as a threat to any NFL teams unless you're trying to tank. Then moving on to third place of the AFC East is the New England Patriots at 10-7. The defense is going to be good under Emperor Palpatine. The only question I have is who's going to be the quarterback to start out the season with the Patriots, because they got their quarterback successor this past draft with Mac Jones from Alabama, and he's good at the system that Belichick runs, but they also have Cam Newton. So we have to see who's going to win the battle. Either Cam Newton going to maybe have that MVP year he had years ago, which I doubt, or we have the rising star Mac Jones show up and take over this offense and take the keys from Belichick. We'll have to see about that. But other thing they did this offseason was they improved a lot, which Patriots don't need to improve a lot since they usually win Super Bowls, but times have changed now since Tom Brady has left. They did a bunch of moves this offseason, like going after offense, getting defense. Some of the guys that they had last year opted out because of COVID, so now they're getting these guys back, and they got after offensive weapons like Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, and they also improved the offensive line. Besides losing Joe Thuney, who's a pretty good offensive lineman, the Patriots did a phenomenal job, and I see them doing good this season, but not good enough to make the playoffs. I think the Patriots will do a lot better once Mac or Cam is fully into it, but not this season. I don't see them doing very well with getting to the playoffs. On the second place of the AFC East is the Miami Dolphins at 12-5. The defense is there, but can Tua step it up? My issue with the Dolphins has been Tua's arm. Tua doesn't have a great arm. He needs to improve that a whole lot because this offense is very good with Mike Gesicki from Penn State, the tight end. They just got Jalen Waddle in the draft, the wide receiver. They got Will Fuller, who's suspended a little games in this season, but still got him. He's a good, reliable wide receiver in the slot especially. And they went after O-line to help protect Tua. And they also have Gaskin, Devontae Parker too. So the Dolphins have a bunch of offensive weapons. But the only question for the Dolphins is really, can Tua step it up? If he steps it up, I see the Dolphins doing phenomenal this year with the defense doing great, with Brian Flores as the head coach, which he did a phenomenal job of that defense, even though they didn't make the playoffs. But I see the Dolphins making the playoffs this year with this squad. And finally, finishing out in the AFC East, taking the crown, win the division for 2021-2022 season will be the Buffalo Bills, finishing at 14-3. The offense is there. Defense is all right. The offense, I think it's going to be a great, like a top 5 offense at least, with Josh Allen, who's going to step up this year. I see him doing that. And the Buffalo Bills made some moves to help that offense by getting offensive line, so it helps protect Josh Allen, their franchise quarterback, and he doesn't have to get sacked all the time, which that was a problem for the Bills last year because Josh Allen got sacked a lot. The offense line was addressed, and they also got an offensive weapon for Josh Allen by getting Emmanuel Sanders from the Saints, who's a reliable receiver for Allen. And they also got a pass rusher in the draft because the defense lacked pass rush and the defense needs to step it up. If they can step it up, they are going to do phenomenal. I can see them in the Super Bowl easily if that defense steps it up. And then another thing the Buffalo Bills did was sign Mitchell Trubisky as their backup quarterback. Trubisky. Oh, I'm gonna miss being Trubisky every time I played him. That was a great time. But now it's the Buffalo Bills where if Josh Allen goes down, they have to rely on old Trubisky. Good luck, Bills, if you have to deal with that. Good luck. But I see the Buffalo Bills doing great this season. Only concern is that defense, and if Josh Allen goes down, will Trubisky step it up? That's my only concern. Buffalo Bills are the division champs of the AFC East for this upcoming season. I'm calling them right now. All right, moving on to the AFC North. Starting at number 4 will be the Cincinnati Bengals, finishing at 5-12. This team is still rebuilding, and the Bengals made moves in this offseason, but they didn't do the right moves that were necessary. One of the moves in this offseason, in the draft especially, was getting a wide receiver. They do not need a wide receiver, even though it's Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's LSU teammate, who he was good with. They didn't address offensive line. Did you not watch the game last year, Bengals? Did you not watch Joe Burrow get hurt? Did you not see Joe Mixon struggle last year? Did you not see the offense struggle? The offensive line was their main goal, and they did not prioritize that as their number one need. They didn't. They went after wide receiver so they can stack up their wide receivers because they have so many good wide receivers. And now they need protection, which they don't have protection. They only need that. Protection was my main concern, and they didn't get that. So this is not good for the Bengals because I see them not doing well, and that's going to hurt them a lot. Another offseason move the Bengals did was addressing defense, which they went after Hendrickson from the New Orleans Saints as a pass rusher, so that's great to help that defensive line. But the Bengals also need other guys to step it up on that defensive line. Then the secondary, I think it's going to be a phenomenal secondary for the Bengals. So it's really up to the defensive lines. My issue for that defense, it's going to be a phenomenal secondary. But I see this team still rebuilding, trying to learn the system, and the offense just needs to protect Burrow. If they protect Burrow, they're going to do a great job. And I could see this team going not to the playoffs, but having a good record this season because they got a good offense, weapons, quarterback, running back. If he has help on that offensive line, I see the Bengals finishing at 5-12 in last place of the AFC North. On to third place of the AFC North is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-8. Last year, they went 12-4. That's pretty good for the regular season record and going to the playoffs and having a high seed. Then in the first round, they choked pretty hard to the Cleveland Browns, their arch rival. And the funny thing about that was they lost 2 weeks in a row, their last regular season game and their first playoff game, both to Cleveland Browns. That is not good against your rival, and you gotta do a lot better job, Steelers. So the Steelers made one offseason move basically, which was getting a running back from Alabama named Najee Harris, who's pretty good. But my main concern with the Steelers was not addressing offensive line because that offensive line is very bad. They need to fix that quickly if they want to do phenomenal in the playoffs and not do terrible in the first round after having a good regular season record. The Steelers, they just need to address that, and they need Big Ben to get back into rhythm or at least do well for them so then the Steelers can do great in the playoffs and maybe get to a Super Bowl if they know how to beat the Chiefs, Bills, Browns, Ravens. They gotta go for the entire division basically just to get to the playoffs, and that's very tough because that's one of the best divisions. I don't think it's the best division of all football, but I think it's the best division in the AFC. Coming in at second place of the AFC North will be the Baltimore Ravens at 11-6. The Ravens, they did good last season of having a good record and getting to the playoffs, but they made some good offseason moves. But basically what that team did was let Lamar Jackson run all day on that field so he could go use the bathroom basically. They got offensive line, which is good to help protect Lamar, but it gives him more time to run and go to the bathroom more often. So that's not good. He has to go to the bathroom half the time. They got a weapon for him, Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, which I like that guy so much and I wanted my team to get him, but the Baltimore Ravens just had to snatch him from me. But I see this Ravens team doing very good, but my only concern with this team is really the Lamar Jackson of getting to throw the ball more often. That's it. And then defense just still be solid, because that defense was good last year and they just need to be solid again. All they got to do is just get Lamar, throw to his offensive weapons, and they're going to be good. And they just got to figure out ways to win that division, because you have to face the Steelers and Browns to fight for that. But this Baltimore Ravens team, they're going to have a great season. I see them making the playoffs, definitely. They've finally taken home the crown of the AFC North. Being your division champions will be the Cleveland Browns. At 14-3, I see them. Cleveland will be very good this year. Go Dog Pound. This team improved a lot this offseason, which they addressed mainly defense. They didn't have to prioritize offense because it really was nothing they had to prioritize except for depth chart, basically. So they get like bench players and like all that basically for the offense, but they really prioritized defense, which they started out by doing in free agency by going after Clowney to help the pass rush and add him to the defensive line. So it makes that Browns defensive line so much better and be aggressive and get more sacks, along with signing defensive Ram players like John Johnson III and Troy Hill in that secondary, which the Rams defense was one of the best last season. So adding those two guys in that secondary is going to be a whole lot good. Along with in the draft, they also got two defensive players in their first and second round picks, which were Greg Newsome, who I wanted him so badly for the Packers, and the Browns just had to take him from me. I see Greg Newsome being a lockdown CB for the Browns secondary, and he's going to be alongside Denzel Ward, who Denzel Ward is also a great lockdown CB too. So it will be great for Newsome to learn from him and get to learn from Troy Hill and John Johnson from that secondary. So this Browns secondary is going to be very good, and that defensive line is also going to be good. And then another thing they did in the draft was get JOK, the linebacker from Notre Dame, who is pretty good. So this Browns defense is going to be pretty good. I see them being a top 10 defense from the NFL. I can see that. I see the Browns defense doing so good. Not better than the Pittsburgh Steelers, but very good, I see them. Then the offense, good golly, they have a great offense. They got that offensive line, one of the best in the league. They got the running back, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They're going to split carries, but they're going to be great. And I see Nick Chubb having a 1,000-yard season again. Baker Mayfield, he's got all day to throw from the offensive line. He's going to do phenomenal with offensive weapons, which he's getting Odell Beckham Jr. back from his ACL last season, which he tore. So it'll be great for him to come back and learn the scheme with Baker. And Baker has all the weapons he's got basically with Odell, as I mentioned before, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Juice Landry, Austin Hooper. So this Browns team is going to do very good, and I could see them make the Super Bowl with this squad. Only issue with the Browns is, can they beat the Chiefs, and will Baker become a top 10 quarterback, which he's a solid quarterback, but I like to see him take it another step up, and that defense has got to show it. So Browns taking home the AFC North crown and moving on to the playoffs. Then finally we have the AFC South. Starting at number 4 for the AFC South will be the Houston Texans at 2-15. Houston, we have a problem. This team has nothing. They have nothing really except Deshaun Watson, which we don't even know if he's going to play this year. We have to find out if he's going to play or not. So Houston Texans fans, it's been a while for you to be good again, so you're going to have to be patient with that. Houston, you're not going to do well. You're going to tank, basically. You're not going to be good at all because you have nothing really. All right, moving on to third place for the AFC South will be the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-13. The Jaguars had the first overall pick in this past draft by getting Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback. That was a great move for the Jaguars because they needed the quarterback unless they want to go with Gardner Minshew, the mustache man. Guess they didn't want the mustache because they didn't trust him winning games. They don't trust it. So they went after Lawrence. The way I see with this team is they're going to be a rebuilding team and not playoff ready yet, but they're going to be ready probably next season to learn the system with their new head coach, Urban Meyer, who came out of retirement from college football after coaching for Ohio State for so long. The thing I also liked about the Jaguars in the offseason was getting Trevor Lawrence more toys to play with. They got the receivers to play with, and they also got his Clemson running back teammate Travis, which he's good. Jaguars offense is improving, but my main concern is their defense. Their defense is not that good, very bad. I see that hurting the Jaguars. They're going to go 4-13. Then finishing at second place for the AFC South is the Indianapolis Colts at 10-7. They kept the same squad basically this past offseason except for trading for Carson Wentz, which I see that being a good move for the Colts, and they let go of Phil Rivers, which Phil Rivers did a good job for the Colts by getting to the playoffs. This team has a great defense, and they got more pass rush in the draft, and Wentz has protection now, which he did not with the Eagles because the Eagles' offensive line was hurt all the time, which that hurt Wentz a lot, and he had no one to throw to really that much because the Eagles didn't have weapons for him much. And the thing about Carson Wentz was his confidence, which he lacked confidence last season despite having all those issues with the offensive line and weapons. He would just hold the ball too much and not throw it away or be on target sometimes, which was my concern with Carson Wentz. He was one of the worst quarterbacks last year too. But I see Wentz doing good for the Colts and learning from his old offense coordinator who he was with the Eagles when he won the Super Bowl with them. So that's good to catch up with Frank Wright. So basically Wentz has got to learn the system and be confident is my main concern with the Colts because they have good wide receivers, good offensive line. They got Jonathan Taylor and good running backs also. Basically just Carson Wentz is my main concern. If he can step it up, maybe show the MVP year or not. I don't think he will, but he could show that under that new system with Frank Wright. If he shows that Colts team is going to go to the playoffs, and the Philadelphia Eagles badly want Carson Wentz to go to the playoffs because they feel bad for him and they want that first round pick. Colts, we'll have to see after I look at all the records and then go upon if you're making the playoffs or not. Then finishing out in first place of the AFC South is the Tennessee Titans at 12-5. This team addressed the secondary, which the secondary was terrible last season, which they addressed in the offseason. And they also traded for Julio Jones, one of the best receivers in the league. Even though he's been hurt a couple times the past few years, they got him to replace Corey Davis, who signed with the Jets. They drafted Farley to help that secondary, who's also a little bit injured, but he will be good. And they also got Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That is a great move for the Titans defense because Steelers have one of the best defenses in the league. That player will help you, and he was a good role player for that Steelers defense, so he'll help the Titans defense out. And they also got Janoris Jenkins, so he also helps the secondary. They still have big three: Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Ryan Tannehill. So now you add Julio into that scheme, and that offense is going to explode easier for the Titans to do so well in offense. So the Titans just have to worry basically of that secondary on the defense because that's what they lacked. They hope that defense improves. Now we go on to our final division of the AFC West. Finishing out in last place of the AFC West will be the Denver Broncos at 4-13. They made some moves this past offseason by addressing the secondary by getting Patrick Surtain in the draft, Kyle Fuller from the Chicago Bears, and Ronald Darby from the Washington football team. All three of those guys were good, so all three of those guys are going to do good, I see, with Vic Fangio, which Vic Fangio likes Patrick Surtain a lot, and he had Kyle Fuller to coach. So defense is going to be great, but they also need a quarterback. Now, before I get to quarterback, I have to address some other moves they made this offseason. They cut Casey Ojeboye. So now back to the quarterback position. Broncos have lacked the quarterback position ever since they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. They have not had the right quarterback since then. They traded for Teddy Bridgewater because they didn't trust Drew Lock, and now they're stuck with Drew Lock right now. So basically it's either Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock who's going to carry this team, which they need the quarterback badly because the offensive weapons are so good for the Denver Broncos because they got KJ Hamler, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Royce Freeman, Phil Lindsay, Melvin Gordon. The Denver Broncos just need the quarterback. If they get the quarterback, they're going to do a whole lot. They could go to the playoffs if they get the quarterback. I don't trust Drew Lock, so the Broncos have to get a quarterback that knows the system. Then on to third place is the Las Vegas Raiders at 5-12. They addressed secondary this past offseason by getting Casey Hayward from the Los Angeles Chargers, who is very good, drafting Morrig for safety. They also drafted offensive linemen to help fix that O-line because they lost a couple guys and because of cap issues. Good anymore, so refix that O-line. But this team, I don't see them doing good at all because they're basically an average team. They haven't improved a lot since making the playoffs, which was a long time ago, 6 years ago. So this team has got to improve, but I don't see them improving at all. Then finishing out in second place of the AFC West is the Los Angeles Chargers at 11-6. I see this team doing great. I think this is a team you might have to watch out for in this upcoming season. They might do better than my record, but they're going to be good, I see, because they made a great moves this past offseason by getting offensive line to help Justin Herbert, by getting Corey Linsley, the best center in the NFL. They got Rashawn Slater, the first draft pick, who's also good in the offensive line. So they helped address the offensive line to help protect Herbert and to help give him more time to throw to Keenan Allen and Mike Mike Williams and run the ball with Austin Eckler. So that offense stepped it up, along with getting a new head coach, the Rams defensive coordinator, who is very good at defense, because we saw last year his defense was very good and one of the best of last season. So that's very good. So he's going to help that Chargers defense step it up. The Chargers addressing the secondary by getting Asante Samuels in the draft. So he's going to be good. So he's going to be right alongside Chris Harris. And Chris Harris is also good. And the Chargers get back Derwin James, who has been on injury prone forever. I hate that about him because he's a great player. But this Chargers team, I see them being a very good team, and they are playoff bound. At least the playoff bound. They're making the playoffs, I see them. They're not winning the division because of the Kansas City Chiefs, but this team, you got to watch out for. With that offense is going to be great, and that defense is going to do phenomenal with the new head coach. Then finally, your winner of the AFC West is the Kansas City Chiefs at 15-2. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, basically. They're winning the division because they are so good and have done phenomenal by making the Super Bowl the past 2 years. The only thing the Chiefs did was get a linebacker in the draft and address the offensive line, which was terrible in the Super Bowl. So the thing about their linebacker issue was they didn't have a good linebacker making the tackles and all that. So they got Bolton, who's a good tackle machine at that defense. So he's going to be good for them. And they also addressed offensive line, which was very bad. If you go watch the Super Bowl, it was bad because Patrick Mahomes had to run around. Patrick Mahomes was getting chased all around by the pass rushers on the defense from the Bucks. So that was not good at all. And Patrick Mahomes had barely had any time to throw it. He got sacked a couple times in that game. So the Chiefs addressed that by getting Joe Thuney from the New England Patriots, which I see that being an underrated move because he's a very good offensive lineman as a guard. So that's gonna be good for them. And they also cut Eric Fisher, who is a great player, but he didn't do well in this past season. So Chiefs just cut him off. So basically, they just wanted to get that offensive line straightened away so they help protect Mahomes. And so trying to protect their franchise quarterback who signed a great money deal with the Chiefs to stay there forever. So Chiefs are going to do phenomenal. The only question for them is just the offensive line. Offensive line, if they get it, they're phenomenal and good. They just have to watch out for a couple teams in the AFC because they're rising up and trying to take down the top of the AFC, which is the Chiefs. Alright, so that is all my AFC predictions of who's going where in the divisions. And now I move on to who's making the playoffs in the AFC. So to start out with, the first seed of who's going to get it will be the Kansas City Chiefs. Then at the second seed, it will be the Cleveland Browns, which I think it will be a tiebreaker if they have to go against the Buffalo Bills, which I see the Buffalo Bills taking the third seed. Then at the fourth seed will be the Tennessee Titans. Then at the fifth seed will be the Miami Dolphins. The sixth seed, the Los Angeles Chargers. The seventh seed, finishing out, will be the Baltimore Ravens. So to recap, that will be Chiefs 1 seed, 2 Browns, 3 Bills, 4 Titans, 5 Dolphins, 6 Chargers, then 7 Baltimore Ravens. So that is all my predictions of the AFC, as I mentioned before, and who's going to make the playoffs. But I'm going to do another video later of taking all those teams I said who's making the playoffs and taking the NFC teams, which I'm doing another video on, and combining that to see who's going to win the Super Bowl. And we'll see what happens in my prediction to see if you guys agree or if you don't agree. But let me know what you guys think. But that is all for my video. But I hope you guys liked it. So please leave a like on this video. And if you guys enjoy more of this, hit that subscribe button right below this video. Football is back. It's a great time to have football back.